excited to talk to you about Bahubali. Fun fact, this was the first South Indian film I ever watched in my life. So that's the introduction. So, you set the bar way too high. So, before delving into Bahubali, I'd love to know more of a general thing for, directors and creators. Like every director tends to, leave echoes of themselves in the frames they shoot. I know you had a lot of wonderful cameos in, the projects that you made, but besides that, what's that like subtle like Rajamouli imprint or signature move that you feel like you usually put in your movies?
Um, I don't know what is the kind of my signature that I put. I'm not sure. Maybe the stamp at the end of the film. Okay. But creatively, I think I feel the audience should feel for my hero and shed a tear for my hero at least once in the story. I think if you call it a signature, probably I should say that.
Oh, that's a beautiful answer. So, speaking of Bahubali, like when you first started, envisioning this grand narrative, what was like the initial thing that you saw in your mind? Like, where did it start personally for you? Was it like a story, an image, a soundtrack? Like, what led you to create this kind of phenomenal cinematic universe?
Two things, Pankuri. One is like I always wanted to make this big action spectacle war drama film for a very, very long time. So I wouldn't say it is like one point that defines that moment.
Mm.
But if you talk about Bahubali, it's all about scale, the scale which was never witnessed before on Indian cinema. So the first uh, uh, glimpse into my mind for my unit, at least I would say, is that
Mm.
we created uh, the concept art of the waterfall.
Okay.
So
Mm.
so when you look at that image, the concept art, it is one thin slit from top to bottom in the frame.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so I showed it, and so everyone was wondering like, okay, where is the scale? Then as you zoom in, just the bottom part of that thin slit fills the field frame and gives a magnificent visual. So as you scroll up, you see different levels of waterfall. As the foliage changes, the water changes. Now everything changes, and you scroll down, scroll up, scroll up, and finally at the top you see the snow mountains and the beginning of the waterfall. So that is, I said, so this everything, all these frames come into my song, Shivudu climbing the waterfall at some time. So that's when at least everyone in my unit got, okay, this is the film that we are going to make. This big film is that what we are attempting to make. So I think I can say that is the first movement.
That absolutely amazing. I feel like, so much thought and so much dedication has gone into this project. And we can clearly see that. No wonder it's such a huge success. It deserves to be. It is so like gorgeous. And the landscape, speaking of that, within these movies, they feel so timeless. So were you like ever inspired by any like real worlds, like civilizations, any place from your own real life self or myth or art forms that kind of influenced, making these visualizations in your project?
Yeah, I think I said it many times, but my biggest inspiration for all my films, not just Bahubali, are
Mm,
the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So I'm
mm,
listening to the stories right from my childhood, reading comics, reading novels, reading the expanded versions as growing up.
mm,
Just the way it was written, the scenes were written, the description was given about the characters, about the wars, about the details of the palaces, how the palaces were built. They are they have so much influence on me. So I think Bahubali is the film where it showed out so much. All the influence came out so much. Uh,
mm,
I mean, even the characters, so much you can see so much of influence of
mm.
the mythological characters in the movie. Uh, yeah, I would say those two.
Mhm. Yeah. I could also see that when I was watching it for the first time. I was like, yes, definitely. There's some kind of resonance there. And you have such a well-established fan base. Everyone, I don't think there is anyone in India who does not know you or your work. But I'd love to know before, like, I'd love to take you back to those like initial phases of you making Bahubali. Like, if you could go back in time and give any piece of advice to the version of you who was like making it for the first time and kind of offer him some help, like what is that element that you'd like to give him advice about?
I mean, if I would go back with this wisdom, and
Yeah.
I'll tell that guy 10 years back, don't do this, you idiot. You are attempting a suicide. You know, so I mean, attempting Bahubali is such a is such madness, because
Mm.
the first project
Yeah.
itself is so much expensive. It's like the budget that we allocated, we thought that we would make this the first film in, was like
Mm.
almost double the most successful film in India.
Mm.
You
That's
know,
true.
collections,
And
double
yeah.
collections of the most successful film in India. So in Telugu, at least in Telugu, so it is like crazy. It is just this people with this madness got together. We had that belief and we made it. It happened, and there were
Mm.
like 10,000 ways it could go wrong, and only one way that it go right. It can go right,
Mm.
and just we
Yeah.
happen to be that on that right path. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. And following up on that, like you said, there are 10,000 ways this might have gone wrong. So, what would you say was like the biggest challenge that you encountered while making these two films?
Um, to bring the people together, and for see, when we started the film, everyone was super excited, right?
Hmm.
Because like we had so many visuals that I explained you, like that, the waterfall visual, the kingdom visual, the Kuntla kingdom, the Mahishmati kingdom, the war visuals, everything. We had visuals pre-done, all the concept arts pre-done. So everyone was so excited. But to bring
Hmm.
in each one onto the screen, it's like a humongous effort, and
Hmm.
a lot of time would take. I mean, for Western filmmaking, it might be a big shock, but we shot for like 300
Hmm.
days for part one.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so big films in Hollywood would be made in 80 days or 90 days, but we were shooting for 300 days, because the way we shoot is different. We have to shoot like one sequence after one sequence, one sequence after one sequence. The biggest challenge is like holding my entire unit's enthusiasm for so long,
Hmm. That's true.
constantly reminding them of the dream that we were having, like constantly showing them this is what we have done, this is what we are achieving, just keeping the spirit up. I think that was the biggest challenge.
Hmm. And you did it not once, but twice for two films. And, Bahubali has been, such a huge success. But I'm very curious to know why, like, this now, according to you, is like the perfect time to amalgamate these two movies together and release this as kind of like an epic version. Like, why now?
uh, I think, see, once we release the Bahubali, obviously the interest is like shot through the sky. And
Hmm.
eventually we thought it will go down. Of course, it
Hmm.
comes down after a period of time, but not so down that people forget about it, right? We have the
Yeah.
official handles on social media, and wherever we go, people keep talking about when is Bahubali 3 coming? How are you expanding it? How are you taking forward? No, when are you re-releasing? What are you doing? Like, and the interest from the fans is like which went down and slowly steadied and slowly started picking up again. There are a lot
Hmm.
of youngsters who didn't see the film when they were young, when they were kids. They heard the stories of how their parents or the elders experienced in the theaters, and they want to have that kind of experience again. So that momentum started building up, and we thought, okay, I think we can do this again, but not just releasing the films just one by one. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, we harbored this thought of bringing these two films together into one for quite some time. So
Huh.
we clubbed these two events together. Our previous thought of bringing the films together, and the raising interest in the younger audience, and that got us to Epic.
Yeah. So, speaking about that, that's a very good point you brought up, because I'm sure everyone in India has already seen the films because they were so good when they were released and there was such a massive buzz. But now that, you're immersing yourself into this global landscape and now the younger audience are also going to witness this film, I'd love to know what scene kind of stands out for you personally as like the most favorite, memorable one that you are very excited to see people experience for the first time.
Um, you're talking in the western part of the world.
Any audience member that has not seen Bahubali.
Any who hasn't seen Bahubali?
Anyone new, yeah.
I think it's the combination of the drama and the action. I think my USP is that I have this ability to use the action to enhance the drama, and that I have done. I mean, all of us put together, we have done it beautifully in Bahubali. After Bahubali, I have done RRR, which many people in the West or people know me outside India more for RRR than Bahubali. So if they liked it, I'm pretty sure they're going to like this as well, because it's an Bahubali is much bigger in scale in terms of drama and everything than RRR. So I thought, so I think that part where the drama is enhanced by action is the thing that they will like in the film.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to watch it again. It's such, the theater experience was so good. And I was hoping that, something like this happens again because it's going to be surreal. But if you had the chance to, revisit the world of Bahubali today and recreate some of the sequences, more of from a novel perspective, now that you have more experience, what aspect of like Bahubali's saga would you kind of like want to expand on further?
I think there was a lot of scope in the second part of the film after Balladeva becomes the king and Bahubali made his second in commandant. Uh, I think, I mean, I'm talking about the second half of the second part. There is still a lot of scope for the story to be expanded. There is a lot of drama because the people's favorite is the second in commandant, and the person the people doesn't like so much is the king. I mean, and how Sivagami gets convinced to a point where she orders the death of the Bahubali. I think it was a little bit hurried when we made the film. I think I would definitely expand on that part and probably as far as making part 3.
There you go. There's a little bit of hint. There's hope. But before we conclude our conversation, this has been such a beautiful interaction with you. How is this anticipation period going for you, knowing that we're almost on the verge of the release of this epic version? Like, are you feeling nervous or excited now that we're releasing this officially on such a global and like massive scale?
I am super excited, Pankuri, because I mean, this like for me, it is almost like releasing in a way a new film, not completely new film, but a film that re-edited, remastered, put in together in a much more compact, stronger way. And it's also kind of a huge experiment, which I want to see how the audience will react to that. That will give me a lot of insight into how audience watch films. Because this is a completely new thing. Completely new thing. No one has ever done this before. This is the first time that's being done. So the audience reception, whatever it is, gives me a lot of insight on how audiences feel. So I'm super excited about it.